Cybersecurity, mini course. Vulnerability management. Going from zero experience to becoming a cybersecurity vulnerability management analyst earning a six-figure salary. By RFBAH. Section 2. Vulnerability assessment and scanning. Summary, subsection 1. Explore the techniques and tools used for vulnerability assessment and scanning. Subsection 2. Learn about network scanning, host scanning, and application scanning. Subsection 3. Analyze vulnerability scanning results and identify critical vulnerabilities. Explore the techniques and tools used for vulnerability assessment and scanning. Techniques and tools for vulnerability assessment and scanning. Vulnerability assessment and scanning are the first steps in the vulnerability management lifecycle. They involve discovering, classifying, and prioritizing vulnerabilities in an organization's IT assets. There are a number of different techniques and tools that can be used for vulnerability assessment and scanning. Vulnerability assessment techniques. Network scanning. Network scanning involves scanning a network to identify open ports, services, and hosts. This information can then be used to identify potential vulnerabilities. Host scanning. Host scanning involves scanning a specific host to identify vulnerabilities. This can be done either remotely or by directly accessing the host. Application scanning. Application scanning involves scanning an application to identify vulnerabilities. This can be done either statically or dynamically. Manual review. Manual review involves manually reviewing code or configuration files to identify vulnerabilities. This can be a time-consuming process, but it can be effective for identifying complex vulnerabilities. Vulnerability scanning tools. Some popular vulnerability scanning tools include Nessus. Nessus is a popular vulnerability scanner that is available for both commercial and free use. OpenVAS. OpenVAS is a free and open-source vulnerability scanner that is a good option for organizations with limited budgets. Nikto. Nikto is a web application scanner that is specifically designed to identify vulnerabilities in web applications. Burp Suite. Burp Suite is a commercial web application security testing tool that includes a vulnerability scanner. Qualys, a cloud-based solution that detects vulnerabilities on all networked assets, including servers, network devices, like routers, switches, firewalls, etc., peripherals, such as IP-based printers or fax machines, and workstations. Factors to consider when choosing a vulnerability scanning tool. The type of assets to be scanned. The tool should be able to scan the types of assets that the organization has, such as servers, workstations, and web applications. The features of the tool. The tool should have the features that the organization needs, such as the ability to identify and prioritize vulnerabilities, and to generate reports. The cost of the tool. The tool should be affordable for the organization. The support provided by the vendor. The vendor should provide good support for the tool. Advantages of using vulnerability assessment and scanning tools. Automation. Vulnerability assessment and scanning tools can automate the process of identifying vulnerabilities, which saves time and money. Accuracy. Vulnerability assessment and scanning tools can identify a wide range of vulnerabilities with a high degree of accuracy. Consistency. Vulnerability assessment and scanning tools can scan networks and applications consistently, which helps to ensure that no vulnerabilities are missed. Reporting. Vulnerability assessment and scanning tools can generate reports that can be used to track progress and improvements to the vulnerability management process. Learn about network scanning, host scanning, and application scanning. Network scanning is a technique used to identify active hosts and devices on a network, as well as open ports and services running on those devices. It's a crucial cybersecurity practice that helps identify vulnerabilities and potential security threats lurking within a network. Network scanning. Types of network scanning. 1. Ping scan. A ping scan sends ICMP, Internet Control Message Protocol, echo requests to each IP address in a network range, determining which devices are active. 2. Port scan. A port scan identifies open ports on active devices, indicating which services are running on those devices. Common port scanners include MAP and Nessus. 3. Sweep scan. A sweep scan sends TCP or UDP packets to a range of ports on active devices, determining which ports are open or closed. 4. Vulnerability scan. A vulnerability scan identifies known vulnerabilities on active devices, such as missing patches or outdated software. Host scanning. Types of host scanning. 1. Operating system scan. Identifies the operating system running on the host, providing insights into potential vulnerabilities specific to that OS. 2. Service scan. Identifies the services running on the host, such as web servers, IP servers, or email servers, indicating potential attack vectors. 3. Configuration scan. Examines the host's configuration files and settings, identifying potential misconfigurations or security weaknesses. 4. Vulnerability scan, host-specific. Conducts a thorough vulnerability scan on the host, identifying specific vulnerabilities and potential exploits. Application scanning. Types of application scanning. 1. Static application security testing, SAST. Analyzes the application source code to identify potential vulnerabilities, such as SQL injection or cross-site scripting, XSS. 2. Dynamic application security testing, DAST. Tests the application while it's running to identify vulnerabilities by injecting malicious code or manipulating user inputs. 3. Interactive application security testing, IAST. Combines static and dynamic testing, providing a comprehensive assessment of the application's security posture. Importance of network, host, and application scanning. 1. Vulnerability identification. Proactively identifies vulnerabilities and security flaws before they can be exploited by attackers. 2. Risk assessment. Prioritizes vulnerabilities based on their severity and potential impact, allowing for focused remediation efforts. 3. Compliance with regulations. Helps organizations meet compliance requirements related to cybersecurity standards and data protection laws. 4. Improved security posture. Strengthens the overall security posture of an organization's network, applications, and systems. 5. Reduced attack surface. Minimizes the attack surface by identifying and addressing potential entry points for attackers. Analyze vulnerability scanning results and identify critical vulnerabilities. Analyzing vulnerability scanning results. Vulnerability scanning tools generate detailed reports that provide information about the identified vulnerabilities. Analyzing these reports is crucial for prioritizing remediation efforts and addressing critical vulnerabilities that pose the highest risk to the organization. Steps in analyzing vulnerability scanning results. 1. Review the scan summary. Start by understanding the overall scope of the scan, including the number of hosts scanned, the number of vulnerabilities identified, and the severity distribution of vulnerabilities. 2. Classify vulnerabilities. Categorize vulnerabilities based on their severity levels, such as critical, high, medium, or low. This helps prioritize remediation efforts and focus on the most critical vulnerabilities first. 3. Analyze vulnerability details. Delve into the details of each vulnerability, including the vulnerability type, affected software or component, and potential impact. This provides a deeper understanding of the vulnerability and its potential consequences. 4. Consider exploitability. Assess the likelihood of a vulnerability being exploited. Factors to consider include the availability of exploits, the ease of exploitation, and the potential impact of exploitation. 5. Evaluate context. Analyze the context of the vulnerability, such as the asset on which it was identified, its role in the network or application, and the potential impact on business operations. 6. Identify critical vulnerabilities. Based on the severity, exploitability, and context, Identify the most critical vulnerabilities that require immediate attention. Tools for analyzing vulnerability scanning results. 1. Vulnerability management platforms. Dedicated vulnerability management platforms provide tools for analyzing scan results, prioritizing vulnerabilities, and tracking remediation progress. 2. Security Information and Event Management (SIEM) systems. SIEM systems can integrate vulnerability scanning data with other security data, enabling comprehensive analysis and threat detection. 3. Spreadsheets and data analysis tools. Spreadsheets and data analysis tools can be used to organize and analyze vulnerability scanning data, identifying patterns and trends. Identifying critical vulnerabilities. 1. High severity. Critical vulnerabilities have the potential to cause significant damage or disruption to the organization's operations or data. 2. High exploitability. Critical vulnerabilities are easily exploitable, meaning that there are available exploits or methods for exploiting them. 3. High impact. Critical vulnerabilities can have a widespread impact, affecting multiple systems, applications, or users. 4. Strategic importance. Critical vulnerabilities may affect critical infrastructure or systems that are essential for the organization's operations. Prioritizing remediation efforts. 1. Focus on critical vulnerabilities. Prioritize remediation efforts for critical vulnerabilities, as they pose the highest immediate risk. 2. Consider exploitability and context. Take into account the exploitability of vulnerabilities and context within the organization's environment. 3. Address vulnerabilities in phases. Prioritize remediation based on severity and address vulnerabilities in phases, starting with the most critical ones. 4. Track remediation progress. Monitor and track remediation progress to ensure that vulnerabilities are addressed promptly and effectively. Thank you. Go to the next section.